this script during COVID, and I loved it so much. I knew a little bit about the story. I find that for the most part, maybe like 50% of people, when I tell them a little bit about the movie, they're like, have the same reaction I did, which is, oh, I think I've heard of that. And I think that I was so surprised and delighted by the script because Ian writes in this really lyrical, emotional way. It wasn't the kind of movie I was expecting. It was not a cop or a journalist tracking down a killer. It was just really emotional and really evocative, and it had this beauty to it, which was surprising given the subject matter. And I found that I was really, really invested in the script. I was so surprised by how kind of prolific Ian is. Like, I would give him just like just something that I thought would be interesting, right? And the scene would come back and it would be completely different. Like, I feel like I'm so used to having ideas or notes and having like one line change, just like, you know, meeting a lot of resistance. And with Ian, it was almost like the opposite to a degree that I was like, whoa, don't throw out the whole other scene. Like, I loved the scene, but the problem was that then Ian would write this whole new scene and that scene would be great. We waited so long for the movie to come together, and it was one of those things that I think is pretty common where a movie is just taking forever and then suddenly it's just happening, and it's happening really fast, and we suddenly found ourselves with a start date and no director. And we started talking about names, you know, who we could get at the last minute, and we certainly were not looking at first-time directors because it was such a crazy thing to kind of jump on this moving train. And, you know, wanting someone where you kind of knew you could hand them $2 and a roll of duct tape and they'd make a movie out of it. I think it was about like maybe 36 hours into, you know, this idea of like, okay, we're just gonna scramble and try to find a director, that I had what was truly the most horrifying thought that I've ever had, which was, oh no, I'm gonna pitch myself to direct the movie, because I just loved the movie so much. Like, I do love the character, but I knew that I really loved and prioritized the movie more than just the character. And I felt really strongly about certain things. And so I had this Zoom where I was frankly meeting a number of people on, you know, on the producing side for the first time, and was basically going, I was coming from a place of like, I think if somebody comes in and tries to like tell me what the movie is, I'm gonna be like, well, no, you're wrong. Like, I knew that I had such strong feelings about it that I'd regret it if I didn't at least put my name forward. And I very much came from a place of like, if I'm not the person to do it, and if I'm not ready to do it, and you guys think this is a bad idea, I want to do what's right for the movie. So it was this very awkward pitch where I was like, people probably don't normally pitch themselves with like one toe in the pond of like, it's totally fine if not, no worries if not. Because it was such a short timeline, I think it was literally about 6 weeks between the moment I was pitching myself to when we were gonna be starting hard prep. And they were like, maybe you can do a pitch. We're all excited, so maybe you can do a pitch that's a little more of an actual pitch. And I think it was like 24 hours later, because I was like, I don't even have time to learn how to put together a very professional presentation. I was on a Zoom like with my phone, holding my phone up to the Zoom going like, this is what I think Cheryl's world feels like, and this is what I think the opening should feel like. Because I was like, if this is happening, I should probably only focus on the actual making of it rather than like, I'm gonna learn how to put together a really professional packet. It was very haphazard, but I did have a really strong feeling about the script and about the world, and some changes that had happened in my life that felt like the idea of people as, you know, safe and unsafe, and the way that it's so hard to ever truly know someone and trust someone, that really resonated with me. And so, like, just very, very quickly, I was suddenly interviewing casting directors and cinematographers and kind of in these interviews going, how's this going? Am I doing a good job? Like, what would you ask you? But very much learning as I went and also really not giving myself an option to back out, because I knew that if we were making the movie in 6 months, if I pitched myself, which I probably wouldn't have, that I would have then chickened out and been like, you're right, you should get somebody to, like, we should find somebody else. We should find somebody who's more experienced. Like, this is a bad idea. I want to do the right thing for the movie. It really was feeling like pushing myself off a cliff.
All right, everybody, let's get started. Live!
I did always love that the script felt like it was not a, how do we catch this guy story, and it wasn't really focused on him as a person. And I think that there's something in true crime that is so compelling that allows you to stay on this hamster wheel of believing if you can just understand why dangerous people do what they do, you can get yourself safe and you can heal from bad things that have happened to you and you can protect yourself in the future. It's almost this dopamine hit that feels like every time you learn something about this monstrous person, you're one step closer. When there is no answer there, and it's like designed to keep you in this loop. And it was a very important experience for me to even find myself in the process of making the movie, drawn to getting into Rodney's psychology and then having to go, hang on, that's not what we're doing, and like pull myself out of it, because it's such an easy trap to fall into. And the writer and I would find ourselves drawn to adding more about him, adding more about what was going on inside of his head, and then have to kind of pull ourselves out of it, because really the only thing that matters is talking about the impact and the experience of the people that that this one very selfish, shitty person had on like the people around him.
1 สาวสวย 1 ฆาตกร ใครจะเป็นผู้ชนะ Woman of the Hour รู้ไหมใครโหด วันนี้ในโรงภาพยนตร์